الصور أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر فأهل الوفاء كلون السحاب وحسن
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is on you that we worship and it is your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us in the straight path. Ya Allah, show us the chest of mercy. Ya Allah, show us your blessings. Shower us with your blessings. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is now 3 minutes past 8 on this beautiful Saturday morning, the 12th of October 2024, the 8th of Rabiul Thani 1446. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Rise and Shine on Radio Al Ansar with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Yes, as I said, it is an absolutely beautiful morning, and yes, it's nice and warm here in Durban as well. And engineering for me in our studio this morning is brother Asfat Fili, and of course he's all enthusiastic as well, and getting his list of nasheeds etc. together. And of course, the show is produced by Hajra Kota. We're going to start off this morning's show with a little inspirational clip, if I can put it, or motivational clip. And we're going to be listening to an excerpt from Yasmin Mujahid, and she'll be talking to us about trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in difficult times. In this face of seemingly overwhelming challenges, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and lost.
I don't see the solution. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I do know one thing for sure, and that is Inna ma'ya Rabbi sayahdin. Indeed, my Lord is with me and he will guide me through. And when we have that kind of attitude, Allah promises something, that he will split seas for us. That situations that look impossible, Allah will make a way out. That situations where we don't see a solution, Allah will give us a solution from places we never imagined. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever puts Allah first, taqwa, whoever has God consciousness, whoever focuses on Allah first, whoever guards themselves from the wrath of Allah, who makes Allah first, Allah will make a way out for them. And he will provide for them from places they never imagined. Have you guys ever been in a situation that looked hopeless before? Have you ever been in a situation that you couldn't see a way out? Have you ever felt trapped? See, Musa alayhi salam was put in this situation. Many of us, obviously, none of us are probably going to ever be stuck in front of a giant body of water with a giant superpower army behind us, right? But then why is Allah telling us this story if it's not relevant? We won't be necessarily in front of the Red Sea, but we will be in situations where we feel trapped. We will be in situations that look hopeless. We will be put in situations that we don't see a solution. And we think, okay, what am I going to do? And when we are put in that situation, Allah is teaching us how to see through. So Bani Israel is seeing the Red Sea and is seeing the army, and that is where their focus is. You know, when you're in a situation and if you focus on the problem itself, that's all you're going to see. If you focus on the barrier itself, if you focus on the obstacle itself, that's all you're going to see. And it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger in your eyes. It actually starts to grow. You know, it's this amazing thing about the psychology of a human being. If you focus, I want you to imagine for a second, there's a wall in front of you. The more you focus on that wall, the more it gets bigger. The more you focus on the wall, the higher it gets, the bigger it gets, until it actually surrounds you. And you will see no way out. And the reason why, by the way, that's an illusion. It's an illusion. The reason that it looks that way is because you're focusing on the barrier. You're focusing on the block. You're not focusing on Allah. You're focusing on the barrier itself. And so the barrier looks bigger and bigger. And that's exactly what Bani Israel did. They were focusing on the Red Sea. They were focusing on the army. And so they were hopeless. They felt very afraid. They were scared. And it had to do with the focus of the heart. Are you focused on the block? Are you focused on the barrier? Or are you focused on something else? Now, what's so powerful is you see the comparison, the contrast of Musa alayhi salam's focus and then his response. قَالَ كَلَّا. He said, nope. Kalla is like a very emphatic no way. No, nope. They said, we will surely be overtaken. He said, no. And why is it that Musa alayhi salam said no? Why was he so certain? Why was he so sure? Was it because he's really strong? Is it because, oh, guys, don't worry, I got this. He didn't say that. He didn't say, I have this nifty staff, He wasn't in the habit of splitting seas. This didn't really happen every day. It's not like he knew what was going to get him out of the situation. He had no idea. It's not like he knew how he was going to get out. And yet he was certain that Allah would get him out. Why? Because Musa alayhi salam wasn't focused on the barrier. Musa alayhi salam wasn't focused on the obstacle and the block. He was focused on Allah. And he knew, Inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdin. He said, by no means will we be overtaken. Why? Because indeed my Lord is with me and he will get me through this. That's all he needed. All he needed to do was see Allah in this situation. All he needed to do was shift the focus of his heart, shift the focus from the block, from the barrier, from the obstacle, from the problem to Allah. And all of a sudden, literally Allah opened the sea for him. And that is because he had the proper focus and he knew and he put his trust in Allah and he said that my Lord is with me and he will guide me through. And that's exactly what Allah did. It's very easy to put our reliance on Allah when we see the way out, when we know already the solution. It's easy to be like, yeah, I put my trust in Allah, but here's the plan. It's like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And we already have the whole thing planned out. We know exactly what's going to happen. And then we say our trust in Allah, right? That's pretty easy. But what's really hard is when we have no idea what's going to happen. What's really hard is when there's complete uncertainty. What's really hard is when we have no idea how Allah is going to get us out. We have no idea how the solution is going to come. We have actually no idea what's going to happen after we take this step. It's an unknown. It's the unseen. But that's what tawakkul is.
يا رب يا رب يا رب قد ضاقت علي ما يحيي وبقيت وحدي في الذنوب أعاني عظمت ذنوبي واكتمت منها الحاشا حسبي بي أنك خالقي رحمن يا رب قد ضاقت علي ما
You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio and Sound of the South, Faizal MJ Suleman. Our number for WhatsApp messages 060-904-1056. Before we start our interviews, I'd like to take in some inspirational messages 060-904-1056. First message comes from our regular brother Yusuf Patel. Seniors are a work of art, a lifetime of wisdom and knowledge. Every wrinkle line yearning a story to tell. No subscription or fees to pay, but a lifetime of experience and pain to share. If you will but lend me your ears, know that when an elderly dies, a library is lost, and volumes of wisdom and knowledge are gone. Too often we don't realize what we have until it's gone. Too often we wait too long to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I should have respected your lines and listened to your songs. Salams and duas, Yusuf Patel. Next message comes from Sister Ruqayya. But Brother Yusuf Patel, Jazakallah for that beautiful message. Very, very apt. Message from Sister Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother Faizal and the Rise and Shine team. When you do kind things for others, it comes back in unexpected ways. Life is more beautiful when you have kindness and compassion in your heart. Kindness is a beautiful thing. Be that beauty in someone's life. Always be kind. Allah zindagi ki har ठोकर या एहसास दिल लती है Allah के सिवा हमारा कोई नहीं है. May my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, my brother Faizal, your family, and the entire ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala आप और आपकी family को हमेशा खुश और सलामत रखे इंशाल्लाह. Ameen. Sister Ruqayya, Jazakallah khair for that message, Sister Ruqayya. It gives us an opportunity of yes, practicing a bit of Urdu as well, inshallah. Message from Sister Shena Sheikh saying, Assalamu alaikum, mashallah. Topic, Amin Summa Amin from Shanaz of Overport, mashallah. Topic, Jazakallah khair for your message as well. Sister Shanaz Sheikh, 0609041056. When you wake up in the morning, wash your heart out with the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Adorn yourself with the clothing of taqwa, accessorize with a smile, walk with the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and talk with the language of peace. Greet those you know and those you don't know. Let Iman be your guiding light and let Salah be your sanctuary. Meet the challenges of each day with patience. Look around and appreciate the bounties of Allah. Jazakallah khair for that message. I think, brother or sister anonymous, allow me to say who this message comes from, or at least identify yourself. It makes it so much better.
الله الكثير عطاك الله الكثير عطاك الله الكثير وما يضر في يوم يختار ترى اللي منك كله خير واي شيء كاتبه بيصير ترى اللي من الله كله خير واي شيء كاتبه بيصير ترى حتى المرض نعمه ورحمه وللذنوب تكفي أي شيء كاتبه بيصير لا حتى المرض ورحمة تفاءل وثق بربك تأكد ربك.
Another message that has come through, and this comes from Sister Shana. Yeah, it is from Sister Shana Sheikh. Yes, of course. She says, I always read my salah. Best salah is morning and the Quran. Whoever read one surah from the Quran, the angels are with you. Jazakallah Sheikh for Jazakallah khair for that. Message from Mrs. Rahman. Assalamu alaikum Faizal. Once again, it is a month of the greatest wali of Allah, Hazrat Abdul Qadir Jilani. Allah loves those people who do his Ghiyari Sharif. Even if a person is not wealthy, then they can do it in their own home. All they need is some dates or sugar. Read Fatiha on his behalf. On the 11th of every Islamic month, Allah give him full authority to safeguard those people that reach out to him for help. Have a good weekend, Mrs. Rahman. That comes from Mrs. Rahman. Shana Sheikh is back and she says it feels too good to read. Okay. Jazakallah khair for those messages. I got another message, and before we read this message, let's take a mad break.
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
A reminder that in the atrium overport, you will find Chippewa Spur, our halal steak sizzle, our beef ribs are delicious, and our burgers are legendary. The combos are perfect for big appetites. We have plant-based options too, and mouth-watering desserts. Pop in anytime for all your favorite Spur food. We are open from 8 in the morning to 9 p.m. Chippewa Spur at the atrium. People with a taste for life.
Verily, every soul shall taste death. Prepare yourself for the inevitable. Join the Al Ansar Foundation for our annual Ladies Workshop on Saturday, the 26th of October from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Seats are limited, so don't delay. Register now by calling 031-208-1601. Save the date, 26th October, Al Ansar Conference. Secure your spot and ensure you are prepared for life's final journey.
They convince the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, One martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا قوي يا عزيز
Radio Al Ansar, Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM.
Babulano, 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 Ya Nabi, Ya Nabi, Ya Nabi, Mere Madine wale Aaqa Ya Nabi, Baar baar Madine mein Aaqa ho jaye mera.
You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Ansar. Work can be a significant source of stress and poor mental health, but good work can contribute to better mental health, and the workplace itself can play a positive role in improving access to treatment. The World Health Organization ranks depression as the leading cause of disability and ill health worldwide. We have online with us Dr. Michelle King, a member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists. Good morning to you, Dr. King. Thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Dr. Kingsphone, good day. Just a moment, she's coming now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Dr. King speaking. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me on the program this morning. Dr. King, can you explain how meaningful work can positively contribute to an individual's mental health? What are some key elements that make work mentally healthy?
So I think most adults, we spend most of our lives at work, unfortunately. So work really needs to be this place where we feel like we have a sense of purpose. You know, it becomes, unfortunately, a big part of our identity. So it can be a good and bad thing. I think if we can only identify who we are with what we do, then we become, we get into that space where it's maybe not the most mentally health space to be. So we always need to kind of strive for that balance in our lives where we have work, but we have our family and we have our private life as well.
Now, I think it's important because we need to maintain that balance, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. King.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of South Africans, that's very, very tricky to do, especially with our current economic situation where, you either want to work so you can earn more money because you're working overtime, or, maybe your boss expects you to work harder because you're not going to complain because otherwise you're going to be unemployed and someone else will take your job.
Absolutely. Now, many people experience work-related stress. How can unhealthy workplace environments contribute to mental health challenges such as depression and anxiety?
So, like I said, we're spending so much of our time in the workplace. So if you're going to work every day and it's not this, I'm going to say safe environment, but it's not a happy environment, you're going to start dreading going to work, right? And that constant anxiety and stress isn't good for our mental health. The other thing we see sometimes is workplaces very, very toxic. Maybe there's this always constant gossip and bickering going on in the workplace, or you may have a boss who just constantly belittles you or yells at you or screams at you. No one wants to be treated that way. We want to go to a place where we're treated with respect and kindness and where people express gratitude for what we do. So if we're stuck in that environment, which is toxic, that constant stress is going to break us down and it's going to decrease our resilience and we're going to start struggling with mental illness.
I think toxicity plays a huge role, and as you correctly said, it makes it can contribute to our mental, our mental health as well. Now, in the light of South Africa's large mental health treatment gap, how can workplaces serve as effective locations for structured mental health interventions, and what kind of interventions can be most effective?
So I think the bigger workplace environments can do this so much more easier because they've got the money to have employee wellness programs and to have maybe an employed counselor or employed social worker. But there's stuff that one can do within a small workplace. It actually doesn't cost a lot of money. So I say to everyone, you can't treat people like a number. You've got to know your employees. And the more you know the people that work for you, the faster or easier you're going to pick something up that they're not performing as they used to. So rather than if you see someone struggling in the workplace, don't start yelling and screaming. Rather sit down with them and say, what's going on? This isn't you. Why are you always sick? Why isn't your work done on time? But is it something that you maybe want to speak to someone about, or can I refer you to speak to someone? So I would recommend having or knowing what the crisis number is for SADAG, so that if someone is struggling, you can offer them the number. I mean, it's toll free. They can give them a call and have a chat to someone who's trained. And then the other little things that we can do, there's this great word, it's called sensory ergonomics. And it's about having a look at your work environment and how do you make it less overstimulating. And it's little things like being aware of the level of noise. If there's a lot of noise pollution in your workplace, what can you do to decrease that? And maybe it's a work environment where you can't, but then consider allowing your employees to wear noise cancelling headphones, or to playing soft music or white noise in their cubicles or their space that they're working. The other thing is just to have a look at how your workplace is designed. We can't work crammed on top of each other. That's incredibly stressful. So, reconsider your basic layout of how you're working, and the little things as well, like sense of smell. For some people, really intense smells can be very stressful. So little things like that you can take into consideration. And again, when I say just treat everybody with respect, it costs absolutely nothing. Just be kind and courteous. We're not going to like everybody, but we can always treat each other with respect. And that goes a long, long way in just helping our relationships.
No, undoubtedly, because in fact, the question I was going to pose to you was the effect of social support. What role does social support from colleagues play in maintaining good mental health? But I think you've referred to that in the previous answer that you gave me, because I think you did say that one needs to become familiar with and close to your employees. So if there is a problem, then you can sense that there's something wrong and you can then seek support. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. Let's stop treating each other as numbers. That's the person who's doing X job. Get to know the people that work for you. And I think if we bring that humanity back into the workplace, it's going to be such a nice environment to work.
Absolutely.
I mean, the other way of looking at it is thinking, if you were working in your workplace, how would you want to be treated? And if you're getting this minimal salary, working these long hours, you're not going to be happy. So kind of sit down and reconsider, like, what makes a happy work environment? What would make someone happy and want to come to work for you?
And how can a sense of purpose and meaning from work contribute to overall well-being?
Huge. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we get depressed, is when we feel hopeless and helpless and we lose our sense of purpose. It is so, I wouldn't say soul destroying, but it's hard. If you've got no meaning in your life, why there's no reason to get up in the morning. So we see that loss of sense of purpose is a huge driving factor and precipitating factor when it comes to depression and anxiety. So we need that sense of purpose. And when people want to go on disability or ill health retirement, one always needs to bear this in mind. We need, as human beings, to feel that we're contributing. So if we take away work, you've then got to think, well, what is going to bring me a sense of purpose in my life then? And if you can't find that, then definitely you need to be working with someone to help find out what that sense of purpose is.
Now, let's look at flexible work arrangements, example, telecommunicating, flexible hours. How can that improve work-life balance?
I think it's a great idea, but I think we need to strike a balance. Sitting in front of your computer all day on Zoom meetings is not healthy because we still need that social interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we noticed that very much with COVID. As much as it was great to be at home, we need to be talking to people face to face.
Mm-hmm.
So one needs to bear that in mind. How do you strike that balance? And maybe it's 3 days at home, 2 days in the office, but we can't start isolating ourselves again. And that's the risk. That being said, some people are just too overwhelmed in the work environment because of the sensory overload. And maybe that type of person, one needs to consider what's going to be the best way that you can accommodate them. And then when it comes to work hours, we're human beings. Comfort breaks are so important. So we can't be working from 8 until 5 or 7 until 9. We need our lunch hour. We need our tea break. And I mean, even if you think back to when you were studying, you can't study for 4 hours. You're so exhausted. Nothing is going in and you're making mistakes. So we actually need to be taking breaks every 45 minutes, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And I think that gives us that pause in your day where you can do something, whether it's mindfulness, getting up and stretching, going for a little walk, but you can do those little things in your day that actually slowly improve your mental health.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about burnout. What role does burnout play in mental health and how can it be prevented?
Okay, so burnout is a huge contributing factor to mental health problems. The way we prevent it, one, maintain a social connection, right? So that's not about going on Instagram or TikTok. It's about picking up the phone and actually having a chat with a friend or arranging a coffee date or, go for a walk, do a park run together, but have that human connection. The other thing we find is really, really helpful, especially when you're feeling burnt out in the workplace, is consider upskilling yourself. Sometimes having a new challenge can help prevent burnout. In that same breath is training. So if you're doing a job that you burnt out because you're actually clueless, go for training and speak out to your HR to say, I'm struggling at this. Please, can you send me on a course so that I can get better? Because if we have those tools to do our job, we feel so much more confident. And that definitely helps to prevent burnout. And then the basic stuff that your mom's been telling you, get your 8 hours of sleep, exercise, eat healthily. Those go a long, long way. And they don't, getting enough sleep doesn't cost any money. So we're not talking about spending thousands of rands on your mental health, but it's these little changes that we can do to take care of ourselves better.
There's a question from a listener that comes through. Says, great topic. What are the effects of job insecurity or uncertainty on mental health?
So whenever we're feeling insecure and uncertain, it's creating that constant background stress. And we do know with any situation where we're stuck, where we are feeling stressed out for long periods of time, or if it's like a really, really severe acute stressor, that can be predispose us to developing mental health issues. So it won't happen immediately, but over time, that increased arousal, that increased stress response can lead to depression and anxiety.
Now, the World Health Organization estimates that untreated depression costs the global economy about $1 trillion annually. How can prioritizing mental health in the workplace help reduce these global economic losses?
I mean, you can just imagine if we were mentally fitter, we wouldn't be struggling with depression and we would decrease that financial burden. I mean, if you look at South Africa, our statistics are crazy. It's 1 in 3 South Africans who's struggling with mental illness. I mean, that's a huge number if you think about it. If you go and have your break after this radio show, I promise you're talking to 2 colleagues. So 1 in 3 of you are struggling with something. So just being aware of, get that social connection back, because if we know each other, you pick up when someone's struggling. Mm-hmm. It's when we don't know each other, that's when we miss this. So I think if our workplace becomes that environment where we just have that awareness of each other and that support, and that we don't stigmatize each other when someone is struggling, it's going to go such a long way. And like I said in the beginning, we spend so much of our lives at work. So let's make that a place where it is supporting our mental health and where we support each other, and where we have that, I almost have to be vigilant, but that awareness when we see a colleague struggling or a coworker struggling to say, hey, what's up? You're not yourself. And do you want to go for a chat? Or if you don't want to chat to me, do you want to maybe chat to someone more professional, but let's start having those conversations.
Dr. Michelle King, thank you for joining me in the program this morning, and thank you for having shared, those thoughts with us. Um, I'm sure you have a message for our listeners.
So for me, it's all about social connectedness. Let's get off our social media. Let's start having conversations with each other again. That's missing in our world at the moment. We can't change the economy. We can't change our jobs sometimes, but we can change how we treat each other. So let's start being kind. Let's be respectful, and let's make social connections again.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend. All the best to you, and thank you once again for joining us.
And thank you so much for having me on your show this morning. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely welcome. We spoke to Dr. Michelle King, a member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists, and she spoke to us about work being good, both good and bad for mental health. This WhatsApp.
طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع طلع النور المبين نور خير المرسلين نور أمن وسلام نور حق ويقين سكه الله تعالى رحمة للعالمين فعلى البر شار وعلى البحر شار القدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ودعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت.
Many residents displaced from the border regions still searching for shelter are accusing the Lebanese government of hampering efforts. 2 United Nations peacekeepers were injured on the Israeli-Lebanese border after they came under fire on Thursday, yet another escalation in a conflict that is spiraling out of control. Let's listen to this clip.
For Yusuf Amin, displaced by fighting in South Lebanon, the last 10 days have been the worst of his life. After fleeing north, he says he wasn't able to find space in a governmental shelter and instead sought refuge in this mosque. But before long, he was kicked out.
When I first came from the south, we went to God's house. We have no other shelter apart from the mosque. 4 or 5 days later, one person didn't clean up after himself. So they told us to leave. We said, winter is coming and there are no places to go. They said, go down the street. We went, and then an order came that we should stay away from the walls of the buildings. They said we are getting the walls dirty, so they're removing us.
About 20% of Lebanon's population has been displaced in recent weeks. Displacement shelters are nearly full, and the environmental minister said on Wednesday that the government is considering constructing prefabricated villages. That could take weeks, even months. The Beirut municipality defended decisions taken to close off certain areas, including here with barbed wire, saying the municipality is attempting to protect private property and that the particular mosque where Yusuf was sheltering is not designed to be a shelter.
Concerning the people who are still on the streets, some of them are Lebanese, part Syrian, some Palestinian, Bangladeshis. There is a lot of nationalities on the streets. How can we deal with that? We tried taking some of them to other governorates. They are not agreeing, especially the non-Lebanese.
But of course, nobody wants to be fighting for a place to sleep on the street. Mostly, people just want to go home. As the conflict intensifies between Israel and Hezbollah, a ceasefire appears unlikely, even with the UN's latest push.
The many appeals and calls for ceasefire are crystal clear. We need a window for diplomatic efforts to succeed.
But until that window opens, thousands live in a layered state of despair, feeling neither wanted nor welcomed. Priyanka Navani, TRT World in Beirut.
Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM. Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
Are you or a loved one battling the disease of addiction? Is your family, life, relationships, work suffering due to alcoholism and substance abuse? Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center are addiction specialists offering specialized psychotherapy and naltrexone therapy to help overcome addiction. Zensai offers hotel-style facilities to allow your loved ones to regain their dignity and overcome alcoholism and drug abuse in the most comfortable setting possible. Fight addiction. Call Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center, the addiction recovery specialist, on 031 563 0751.
This November, embark on a sacred journey of Umrah with Worldview Travel. Experience drinking Zamzam in Makkah. Taste the sweet dates from the markets of Medina from just 23,990 Rand, departing November 6th. 6 nights in Makkah, 5 nights in Medina, including daily breakfast. Book and pay by October 31st to secure your spot. Call 031 001 7062 or 071 835 0216. 55 Problem Kize Road, Durban. Worldview Travel. Travel the world with us.
Born into war, caught up in gangs, reformed in jail. Akhi Ayman from the UK, from running the streets to now filling up the masajid, motivating the youth after all he's been through.
And so on and so forth. Man, them are stressed, man, them are depressed. Why? Because you put everything in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before Allah.
Coming to you this October is the first ever Akhi Ayman South African tour, brought to you by the Deen Team and Al Misbah in conjunction with Ashraful Aid. 10th October in the Western Cape at the venue Aspired Country Manor in Skapkraal. 12th October in Gauteng at the Suleman Convention Center in Erasmia. And 14th October in Durban at the NMJ Islamic Center in Berea. Book before the 8th October on www.quicket.com.
This and only this is Nightline. Nightline is the only program that allows you to listen to the opportunity to voice your opinion on any matter or any topic that concerns you. Also on Nightline, we interview the famous, the not so famous, and infamous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Brother Muhammad Variawa, and with me in the studio is Dr. Anwar Jiwa. Join us every Saturday night from 8:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. on Nightline, the program designed especially for you, the listener.
Looking for luxury furniture at unbeatable prices? Visit Sukasa Designs in Springfield Park, where style meets affordability. From designer lounge suites to exclusive dining sets, we have everything you need to elevate your space. Hurry, don't miss our special deals. Find us at Springfield Retail Center and transform your home today. Sukasa, personalizing your home.
Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Al-Ansar, and as the Government of National Unity marks its 100th day in office, optimism about the new trajectory is surging. This is according to the latest Ipsos survey, but concerns over crime, inflation and unemployment remain. We have online with us Murray Harris, Ipsos Sub-Saharan Africa Knowledge Director. Ms. Harris, good morning to you. Thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me on the program. Could you introduce Ipsos to our listeners, please? Who or what is Ipsos?
Ipsos is a research company. We do a wide variety of research. We also do opinion research. It's one of the branches that we attend to. We are present in 14 countries in Africa, but in about 90 countries all over the world. It is a French company, but then every company in the particular country is independent.
Now, the Ipsos survey indicates growing optimism about the new trajectory under the Government of National Unity. What specific factors are contributing to this optimism among the public?
Well, I think there are three things. First of all, the South African public really wanted their political parties to work together. Before the election, that was expressed by many of voters and from people who stayed away from the polls. So that's a very important point. That is what we wanted. Secondly, there are very good signs. If we look at what's happening, the decrease in the interest rate with 25 base points. We are without any blackouts and things for about 150 days. Economic experts are saying things are slowly moving on the economic area and so on. So there are really encouraging signs. And then lastly, I think that South Africans can see that there is something different. The political parties, well, they still differ, but there is not that much bickering as before. And it is not business as usual. And that is basically, I think, the encouraging signs that I can point out to your listeners today.
Now, from your perspective, what have been the major achievements of the Government of National Unity in its first 100 days that have resonated most with the public?
Well, in my opinion, I think the major achievement is that it still exists, because very many people say this will never work. They will never talk to each other. They will never be able to hold it together. So it still exists. And there are good signs that it will continue to exist, because there's definitely a focus on the important issues in South Africa, although that is changing slowly. But I think there's a different spirit amongst the politicians than what there was before.
Now, crime remains one of the top concerns for South Africans. How have perceptions of crime evolved in recent months? And what are the public's expectations from the Government of National Unity in addressing this issue?
Well, about crime and about the other major important things in the country, I think, as I alluded to, things hasn't moved yet. People are still saying these are major issues. For instance, for crime and violence, 54% of South Africans still say this is extremely important. In April, it was 53%. So you can see things didn't really move on this issue over the last few months. At least we have a different Minister of Police, and I think the big expectation from the public is for the new minister and the government to fix this, along with other issues. That we are still saying things like unemployment, crime and violence, financial and political corruption, poverty and social inequality are very important issues, and we're looking forward to see some movements on this. So over the last few months, there wasn't movement on these issues.
Now, how does the public views on the Government of National Unity compare to previous administrations, especially in terms of handling key issues like corruption and service delivery?
Okay, as I just said now, on issues like corruption, service delivery, there hasn't been much movement, but there's a lot of expectation at the moment. Previous governments in all, if we look at how they fared amongst the public, fared much worse than the Government of National Unity. It was different though. In the Mandela area, people were very hopeful. They thought things were going to change quickly, which didn't happen. During the Mbeki area, people were still quite optimistic. They gave good ratings to the presidency and the national government, although some cracks were showing, especially with issues like his handling of HIV and AIDS. During the Zuma presidency, I think it was just disastrous for South Africa, and his approval rate sank as low as 14%, 14% at one stage, only 14%, whereas the other previous presidents never had the rating that low. The Ramaphosa rating has stayed in the deep 40s or early 50s if you look at the percentages. I think there were huge expectations of President Ramaphosa, but we didn't have a new dawn, as you know. And now with the Government of National Unity, I think the expectations are building up again and people feel more positive about the government than what they did before.
So things are looking bright, and let's hope for the best.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for, Ms. Amori Harris, and thank you for joining me in the program this morning. You have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat again sometime.
That is good. You also have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you. We spoke to Mari Harris, the Ipsos Sub-Saharan Africa Knowledge Director, and she spoke to us about recent surveys, etc. Time for us to take a short nasheed break, and we'll continue after this, inshallah.
Did you look at the night, see the light of the moon? Did you look at the sun, giving you warmth? Did you look at the sky? Are you falling in love? It is from the Creator. You can't get enough. He is everywhere, and He knows we stare. Yes, He knows. Yes, He knows. He knows. You've got the world in your hands. He's the one who we're thanking for life. He is a Rahman.
Message from Sister Leila Meta. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the blessed Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Peace, blessings and salutations be upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah for another blessed day as it humbles into sujood. May the path of our character be lined with sincere respect for humanity, so that when we no longer exist in this world, others will be attracted to the path of our character. May Allah SWT bless the Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam with barakah, merciful forgiveness, ease and protection. Ameen. Have a blessed and safe evening. Salams and du'as, Sister Leila Meta and family. Okay, I think I read yesterday's message. My apologies, last night's message. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the blessed Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Please, peace, blessings and salutations be upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, from sujood does another blessed day arise. Kindness comes in all shapes and sizes. May Allah SWT bless the Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam with barakah, merciful forgiveness, ease and protection. Ameen. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Salams and du'as, Sister Leila Mate and family. Inspiring reflections. Kindness makes you the most beautiful person in the world, no matter what you look like. And thoughts for the day. Hadith says, Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. It was narrated that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the Dajjal will emerge from a land in the east called Khurasan, and he will be followed by people whose faces are like hammered shields. Jazakallah for that message. A message from Sister Shena Sheikh says, sending love and du'as for family and friends and my brother-in-law lots. Message from Abdul Razak Sheikh says, salams brother Faizal and listeners. Dua Shifa requested for Haji Yunus Rashid Cook from Palm View, who is in hospital. This comes from Abbas Sheikh from North Beach. We make dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him complete Shifa and makes it easy for him. Another message from brother Yusuf Patel. Tell someone you love them today. Go on, make that call now. Tomorrow may be too late. One can never overlove. Do you not receive the love of your Lord every day in every way? Whether you deserve it or not, whether you are aware of it or not, or whether you appreciate it or not, love makes the world turn around. Don't stop the spinning. It will make your little world that much poorer, that much sadder. Know that it is nice to be important, but it is more important to be nice. Salams and du'as, Yusuf Patel. Finally, take your Lord wherever you go. He is your best security guard. Brother Yusuf Patel, Jazakallah khair for those very, very inspiring and thought-provoking messages. Really, really appreciate it. Shukran.
He is everywhere, and He knows we stare. Yes, He knows. Yes, He knows. He knows. You've got the world in your hands. He's the one who we're thanking for life. He is a Rahman, Allah. He is a Rahman, Allah. See the birds how they fly, feel the tears when you cry. He's the one who gives everything. He'll never leave you behind. 'Cause he's the one that always makes things better. And he's the one that always lives forever. He's everywhere.
Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
As promised at last year's Durban Summer Cirque, part of our profits will go to making a real difference in our community. The Al Ansar Foundation proudly completed its first borehole for the community of Redcliffe. With water shortages affecting many, our mission is clear. Let's bring clean water to more areas in need. Join us in making an impact. Call Outreach on 031 208 1601 or visit alansar.org.za to help build more boreholes and transform lives.
Come get our butcher's best for less at Checkers Foods Cowie Park. Enjoy certified halal butchery products like Chabot Wurst Thick, $79.99 per kg. Extra lean beef mince, just $109.99 per kilo. Steakhouse Classic Beef Porterhouse Steak, just 13 Rand per 100 grams and 39 Rand per 300 grams. Deals valid from Monday, October 7th until Sunday, October 20th. Only at Checkers Foods Cowie Park, now certified by the NIHT, the National Independent Halal Trust, across our butchery, bakery and deli.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة وموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and reason with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. Join Shabir Pasha every Saturday 7 p.m. for Dawah Dynamic Show.
If somebody gave you 500 Rand now, what would you do with it?
I'd actually buy groceries.
Buy myself a cologne.
Probably full fuel.
If somebody gave you 500 Rand now, what would you do with it?
Online shopping.
Honestly, I would get groceries for the family as well.
If somebody gave you 500 Rand now, what would you do with it?
I would feed my kids.
That would contribute towards my lights and water bill.
I put petrol in my car.
Online shopping.
Put it towards school fees.
If somebody gave you 500 Rand now, what would you do with it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't have to decide now. Enter the brain squeeze on the breakfast rush. Win, and you can decide later.
I think this is your most favorite nasheed as well. I know that. And I enjoy it as well. Message from Brother Abdul Razak Sheikh says, Salam, Brother Faizal and listeners. Have a Mubarak day. Thought for the day to make a difference in someone's life. Brilliant, rich, beautiful, or perfect. You just have to take care. Abbas and Fatima from Northbridge. Jazakallah khair for that. Now, it's okay to press the panic button. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel like you have to tackle every challenge on your own. But that's far from the truth. Neglecting your mental health can have serious consequences, and it's crucial to recognize the signs of stress and burnout before they escalate. South African Depression and Anxiety Group SADAG reminds us of the power in reaching out when you need it most. Ahead of World Mental Health Day on 10th October, they share why it's important to press that panic button, not only when you're in crisis, but even on days when things just don't feel right. If you're feeling off, stressed, or overwhelmed, remember that seeking support is a strength, not a weakness. So whether you're driving to work or getting ready for the day, take a moment to check in with yourself. Do you need to hit the reset button? If the answer is yes, don't hesitate to reach out. Your mental health matters just as much as anything else on your to-do list today.
इस आस पे जीता हूँ एक रोज बुलाएंगे और गुंबदे खसरा का दीदार कराएंगे फिर पेश करूंगा मैं अश्कों भरा नजराना बार बार मदीने में आता हो जाए मेरा जान आका या नबी या नबी या नबी तेरे मदीने वाले आका या नबी
WhatsApp messages that have come through. The soul is born old but grows young. That is the comedy of life. And the body is born young and grows old. That is life's tragedy. And that comes from Soli. Thank you, Brother Soli. And then finally, we have a little dua and a round up with this, inshallah. It says, "O Allah, forgive my mistakes, ignorance, transgression in my matters, and what you are most knowledgeable of than me. O Allah, forgive me for what I did in earnestness and in jest, unintentionally or intentionally, as I have committed all of these types of sins. O Allah, forgive me for what I have already done, what I am yet to do, but what I did publicly, what I did privately, and what you are more knowledgeable of than me. You are the one who brings forward, and you are the one who differs. You are all powerful, you are all powerful over everything." It says, "Love you all," says Tasman, but Jazakallah khair for that, and Amin to those beautiful du'as. Time for me to round up, and thank you for having joined me on Arise and Shine this morning. I think there's one more request that comes through. Says, "MashaAllah, Naat, love them so much. Get very emotional. Got no parents, but it's no stress. Pray the Naat of a mum." Okay, I'm not sure if we've got time for that. I think it's time for us to round up, but inshallah, in future shows, we will do that. Asfat Fili, thank you for having engineered for me, for the top job done, and thank you for the lovely Naats and Nasheeds. Hajra Kota, thank you for having produced the show. And after the news by Tabile Duma, we'll be joining Kelly Ramzani on Career Compass. Enjoy the weekend. And from myself, Faizal Suleman, it's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
हो जाए मेरा जान हर बार मदीने में हो जाए मेरा जान फिर और ना कुछ मांगे सरकार का दीवाना बार बार मदीने में हो जाए मेरा जान नबी या नबी या नबी हो तेरे मदीने